So I'm just checking in on this journey to making £1,000 online every month, which is a great first step to taking all of your earning, which you may have been doing, which is what I've been doing, the traditional way, face-to-face business, and moving it to an online model, which is of course very scalable. And it's really been a repetition of the same things over and over on this channel in my videos, and I found out what the reason for that is. The reason is that until you remove the blocks that are in your mind, in your subconscious, in your programming, you are not going to make it in business. And you can get by in a job where you have a guaranteed paycheck and there's some security built in there. But online, what I've found is it's all on you. And so therefore you must have belief in yourself. Now that's very cliche, so I will add to that and say that if you have limiting beliefs, and I've spoken about him so many times on this channel because I think he's such an amazing story. When I ran around, and I'm just opposite Hyde Park now, with Iman Gadzhi, I listened. Iman Gadzhi, if you don't know, he's a guy who went through a very difficult time in his life, as many young people do. I think he would be the first to say his story's not unique. In fact, I've heard him say that. He went through a difficult time, but he had just a determination and a massive reason why he wanted to be successful for his mother, basically. 2 failed fathers. I listened very carefully to everything he said. As we were jogging around in a team, it was like a meetup. A lot of guys were asking him, and it always came back to him. I would say in many senses, he's a man of few words. It would seem like, at least in that context, he did a lot of listening, and I think his answers were very considered. When he gave an answer, it always went back to fix yourself and fix this. So I think if I could go back 10 years, I would say to myself, first of all, you're not broken. Nothing's perfect in this world, and we have things happen to us which are not ideal. And we're always evolving. However, you do want to identify what the rock is that's stopping you moving forward. If there's something in your past which has really affected you, which is what's happened to me, you do need to identify that and you need to smash that rock to pieces or start chipping away at it. And there are different ways you can do that. For me, what I had been doing was just all of these sort of cover-ups, like cover-up, patch-up jobs, like mindfulness. I became very disciplined with doing mindfulness every morning. I tried gratitude practices. I tried lots of different things. I was very disciplined with my workouts. All of those brought temporary relief. There's a deeper down problem, and I would say I've met a lot of people who, in their moments of honesty, will say, I would say at least half of the people, yeah, there's something really holding them back. And so if I could talk to myself 10 years ago, it would be to say there's nothing wrong with you as such. Everything is as it's meant to be. Things have happened in your life, it's left you with some residual stuff, crap, and all you need to do is there are many different possible versions of you in this life, and all you need to do to level up to the next version of you is to identify what that crap is, accept it, be okay with it, see it for what it is, accept that it's there, don't make it out to be worse than it is, but then see it how you want it to be and figure out what you've got to do to resolve that stuff. For me, it was a lot of reading books. It was a lot of talking. I was very fortunate to have people I could talk to who were honest with me, because one of the worst, they were honest with me and said that what you're experiencing is totally normal. Many people have, this is why it's happened. And they were knowledgeable people. Take everything that everybody says to you with a pinch of salt as well. Okay, it was probably going to be, if they're a smart person, 80-90% right and a bit wrong, because they don't know your exact context. Okay, so listen to what everybody says, but never take it as absolute gospel. That's my opinion. Okay, so I'm saying even what I'm telling you now, maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't think so on that one. I think that's part of the 80-90% that's right. So this journey has been really about figuring out what the crap is. And I've met a lot of younger men who honestly, and I guess this applies to women as well, but I'm really focused, I really care a lot for men. I'm a man, and I believe that men need men and we should build each other up, because I think the world has basically sought to destroy men, or big parts of society have sought to just ruin men, and I think that that's a shambles. I think if you don't have good men in society, you're screwed. Okay, so I have a big heart for men, and seeing men prosper and raise good men up themselves, you know, children and whatever. So I've met a lot of young men who have crap going on, but at least in England, we're taught to be stiff upper lip, not to show it, and just crack on. And I think that there is a place to do that, to employ stoicism, a time and a place for that. But I think there is definitely also a time and a place to say, well, this is holding me back. Something's holding me back. Something does not feel right down here. What is that? Figure out what that is, and then deconstruct that bad boy and break it down and resolve it. Because without doing that, I think that the brakes are going to be on. You know, you can, as I've said in other videos, jam the accelerator down as hard as you want, set goals, figure out your why, time block your day, learn anti-procrastination tools and all of that. But if fundamentally deep down, if you're working for yourself to get to a place where you're earning money online, if fundamentally you don't believe in yourself, or there's something about you that doesn't sit right and you kind of want to hide from the world, or you're not able to be your true self, you are going to find it really bloody hard to fulfill your full potential, I believe. You'll just be living a lie. You've got to be okay with yourself. You've got to accept yourself. And that does not mean being arrogant and thinking that you are the best in the world, but it means believing in your potential, that you could be better than a lot of other people if you're willing to put the work in and develop yourself. So that's really the big thing. I'll probably start talking about what's been holding me back maybe at some other point. I guess if there was anybody watching this who feels like that, like there's something inside of them and you could be so much more, I would say, first of all, you're probably right, and that would be the case for most of us. The fact that you care about it is the first step. That's very cool. And then the second thing I would say is figure out some good books and fix this. As Iman says, fix this. It's all of you. Change this 6 inches between these 2 ears and your world changes. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. That's absolutely true. When I've had the biggest periods of stress in my life, my apartment has gone to become the biggest mess. And when things are going well, when I'm on it, when I'm happier, my apartment miraculously is just more tidy and organized. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So yeah, if you didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs or business owners, or your parents didn't champion you to believe that you could be something awesome and model it to you, show you how to do that, so then we're not just paying you lip service, then I would say this is your first step. If you feel like there's something holding you back, try to figure out what that is. You may need to go and speak to a counselor or something. If there's something that happened to you and is really affecting you and you're aware of that. Another option is Jordan Peterson has something called the self-authoring suite, and it requires work, guys. You've got to sit down for 4 to 6 hours. You could do it over a few sittings and get that done. And apparently the results they've had with that are amazing. So I hope this helps someone. It's just to say, if there's something in you, you can be better. But if there's something in you holding you back, do the work and figure it out. So what books could I recommend? If you come from a toxic family, then understanding family dynamics can be a game changer, really. I know people, and there's something called the whipping horse in a family, and if you were the young lad who went wayward, which is what I did, and you did some wild stuff for a few years, you can become known as like the whipping horse, the black sheep of the family. You get labeled as a deviant, and then you get given that identity. You actually adopt that identity as well, and you are both treated like a deviant from then on the rest of your life, and you make people treat you that way. It's a bit complex, but I won't go into how that happens. You can affect how people treat you by the way you see yourself. That's Psycho-Cybernetics, a book all about that. So that's a good book, self-authoring, sweet. But figure out your role in the family if you come from a toxic family and give yourself grace. Try to forgive those people who've done that to you, because it is awful. Yeah, and how's it going for me on this journey? I think I'm about to see some change. I've done a lot of work to resolve a few things that were holding me back, and I think I'm finally getting to a place. I started working with a personal brand specialist, and she has been great. She's very encouraging. She understands me. She understands the place where I'm at. And what I would say, I'll do a separate video maybe on building a personal brand on social media. You've got to figure out, here are some very quick basics which you need to know. Who it is, what are you passionate about, and what's unique. So what are you good at, what are you passionate about, and what makes that a bit unique about you. Okay, it's too much for this video, but that you must figure that out. Who are you going to help with that? What problem exists out there, and who are you going to help? For me, I used to be very chubby when I was younger, and I hated it at school. I hated the body I had. It was an awful time at school. And then I stumbled upon martial art, and I lost a ton of weight. I tried all of the diets. I tried running in the hills. I lived in the Chiltern Hills in England, and I just couldn't get it off. I would go running like once every 2 weeks. I had no clue what I was doing. It wasn't until I got physically assaulted quite badly, and I promised myself that would never happen again. So I became obsessed with fighting and real self-defense. And to be honest, I went a bit too far with it. I became obsessed with it. But I trained that for 6 years, 7 days a week. Insane. 3 years, 7 days a week. And for the first 3 years, on average, 3 to 4 times a week. I basically did 6 years of intense training, and then I've trained ever since for 18 years. And that's how I lost my weight. But then I realized that if you just have the exercise component and not the other components, sleep, nutrition, and the most important one is mindset, it's not sustainable. You can't just keep exercising your way out of a bad diet, trying to outrun a bad diet. But then you can't just keep to a diet and be consistent if this is not in place. You need to have a goal, a reason why. You need to have absolute belief it's possible. So I built a model, ABC SMS, which I'll go into another time maybe. Just let me know in a comment if anybody's watching this. If you want me to explain what that is, I'll explain it in a 5-minute video. But working with a personal brand specialist, you've got to figure out who it is you're helping, what's unique about you, what problem are you solving, and then you start to figure out what those people's pain points are, and you look to build a model, a system that solves those pain points that you can sell. And so I'm working with her. I'm working with a coach. Going back to the original point of this video, it helps you a lot if you're kind of still building belief in yourself and figuring out who you are. It's a game changer. If they really care about you, and I would say, unfortunately, you're going to have to work through a few different coaches, or if you cannot afford a coach, because I know it's very expensive, join a community. Okay, and jump on the call. Normally they'll do a once-a-week group coaching. Every week, ask a question and say, hey, I need help. I just want accountability on this, or I'm feeling a bit discouraged. Just being trying to do something on your own, isolated, is a very, very bad idea. So get encouraged, get in some kind of community or partnership, and build your personal brand. I think that's the future. But before all of that, you've got to resolve your stuff. At least be okay with who you are. Anyway, this video's gone on for too long. I hope it helps someone, and have a great week.